Okay, welcome back. I had some technical difficulties, so we have to do it in two parts. But we did red blood cells, which carry oxygen, white blood cells, which fight disease, platelets, which patch holes, and now we're to the final thing, which is plasma. And plasma is made up of two bits. It is made up of water, and it's made up of nutrients, all the stuff you eat. So plasma is going to carry both of these. Now we're going to write an optional note. No, you don't have to write it, so feel free to not. But plasma, that's a P, is a straw colored. So that means it is the color of hay, is a straw colored fluid that contains water and nutrients. So the first thing I notice that red blood cells are solids, white blood cells are solids, platelets are solids. These are cells. I can pick these up with my hands. These are cells. I can pick these up with my hands. These are cell fragments. I can pick these up with my hands. These three things are all stuff. They're all solids. So how do you get them to flow through your circulatory system? How do you get them to flow through veins and arteries and capillaries and your heart? And the answer is, well, you need a fluid. Hey, that's plasma. Plasma is the only liquid portion of your blood. Everything else is solids. And it's mostly water. So I'm not surprised that the number one fluid in my body is water. So there it is, and it's part of plasma. So plasma not only holds the water, it also holds the nutrients. And technically it holds all this stuff too, because this stuff is floating inside of it. So plasma is a liquid, and it contains all the water and all the nutrients. So plasma actually has two jobs. One job is make all this stuff flow. Solid, solid, solid. How are you going to get these things to flow? Well, with a liquid. And the other job is bring the water and the nutrients. So how it keeps us alive is really the water and nutrients part. And that's why for the picture of plasma, I have a picture. It says water, and what you're supposed to see with all those foods is nutrients. So plasma is the water and the nutrients part. So there we go. Hey, we have the four parts of blood. Red blood cells carry oxygen. White blood cells fight disease. Platelets patch holes. Plasma keeps everything flowing and has the water and the nutrients. Now, before we close down and answer the point and consider this class done, I want to talk about what this looks like in real life and talk about the percentages. So I've printed some stuff out. Here we go. If you take blood and you spin it really, really fast in a thing called a centrifuge, and you don't need to know that, what happens is the heavy stuff floats, gets pushed down to the bottom, and the lighter stuff goes up to the top. So what we have here is we have blood separated. So we're going to go from top to bottom. The top portion, which I see is 55%, is plasma. That's the liquid portion. Oh, hey, it's straw colored. It's that kind of hay color. That is the water and the nutrients. And that is 55% of blood. So if I look at this, most of it is yellow. And then I'd like to jump all the way down to the bottom. And the bottom is erythrocytes, which is the nerdy name for red blood cells. So that bottom portion is the red blood cells. And I see here that that's 45% of blood. So 55 is plasma, that's water and nutrients. 45 is red blood cells. Wait, 55 plus 45 equals 100%. That's how little there is of everything else. That means that your white blood cells and your platelets, these two things combined, are that little white section right here. and that is less than 1%. So this should actually be a thinner band. It shouldn't be as thick as this. It should just be a very thin white line, but then you wouldn't be able to see it, so they kind of blew it up. But the platelets and the white blood cells make up less than 1% of the blood. Most of it is plasma. Second place is red blood cells, and a very distant third and fourth are your platelets and your white blood cells. Now let's see this in an actual picture of blood that has been separated. Look at that. This is an actual photograph. Those are real human hands holding real samples of blood that have been separated. And you'll notice, wow, they really look like the picture. Isn't that weird? So again, up here, that's the plasma. That means all the water and all the nutrients are here. And then down here, look how dark that is. The red blood cells are actually so dark, they almost look black. So that portion down here, that's the red blood cells, and we can kind of see back over here that carries the oxygen. So water and nutrients, oxygen. And if we look really close, we see, hey, there's a cloudy little bit between the two. Right? This is clearly yellow, and this is clearly dark red, and they're right between is kind of a cloudy section. And that cloudy section is all of the platelets and the white blood cells combined. Oh my gosh, you have like none of those. So there is an actual picture of human blood that is separated, and here are the percentages. Now, let's answer the point and get out of here. What do you say? Okay, so what are the 4 parts of blood? Well, we'll do them in order. First thing I see is red blood cells. And what do? They quite simply carry oxygen. And that is 45% of blood. Little less than half just carries oxygen, but that's how important oxygen is. We can't go more than 3 minutes without it, so almost half of our blood just carries oxygen. And going in order that we reviewed it, white blood cells. Now, what do those do? Oh, that's right. They fight disease. And that is less than 1%. You don't have much of that in your system, but your system isn't really under attack all that often, so that's okay. Next up, platelets. What do platelets do? Oh, that's right. They patch holes. Any puncture wounds, any scratches, any of that kind of stuff. And again, less than 1%. You hopefully go most days without bleeding, so you don't really need a ton of that. And last but not least, plasma. And plasma, what does that do? That is all the water and nutrients. And that is 55% of the blood. This needs to be over half of the blood because it's the only liquid. Remember, solid, 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 liquid. So this actually carries all this stuff. It's the plasma that makes it so all these solids can get through my arteries, my veins, and my capillaries. And they carry the water and the nutrients. So the 2 most important things here are 1, the plasma, which carry water and nutrients, and 2, red blood cells, which carry oxygen. So my blood truly does carry the 3 things I need to live: the water, the nutrients, and the oxygen. And that makes up almost 100% of my blood. So that really is the primary job of the blood. So there is the class. Well done. I hope you watched both videos, and I'll see you tomorrow for more biology from Jay's house.